Alright, what's up, folks? Rich Van Tassel here with you, giving you the first part of the recaps of the games of Week 11 of the NFL season. We're going to start with the Tennessee Titans. They were defeated on the road by the Indianapolis Colts. The Colts get to 500 at 5-5. Tennessee drops to 5-6. Marcus Mariota, 25 of 38, 290 yards, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. DeMarco Murray, 21 carries, 70 yards. Marcus Mariota, 5 for 29. That's 3.3 and 5.8 yards per rush, respectively. The team altogether 27 of 97, 3.6 yards per rush. Rashard Matthews receiving 9 receptions, 122 yards. Tajay Sharp, 4 for 68. He had a touchdown. Kendall Wright, 4 for 52. No fumbles either way for Tennessee. 2 sacks. 1.5 of them by Derek Morgan. Bryce McCain had an interception. Ryan Suckup made his only field goal for the Indianapolis Colts. Andrew Luck, 15 of 28, 262 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception. Frank Gore, 18 carries, 50 yards, 2.8 yards per rush. Andrew Luck, 8 carries, 22 yards, 2.8 yards per rush. Robert Turbin had 2 carries for 4 yards, but he had a touchdown. The team altogether 28 of 76, 2.7 yards per rush. Not good enough there. T.Y. Hilton, the top receiver, 5 receptions, 97 yards, a touchdown. Frank Gore, 4 for 71. Philip Dorsett, 1 for 50. Dante Moncrief had 4 for 37 and a touchdown. No fumbles either way. 5 total sacks. No one had more than one, so 5 different guys had a sack. And Adam Vinatieri, 1 for 2 in his field goals. Tough loss for the Tennessee Titans. This was a game, if Tennessee won, they would really be keeping pace not only in that division, but an outside shot at the wild card. So really, Tennessee is kind of eliminated from the wild card at this point. Indianapolis, I guess, still an outside shot at the wild card. Both of these teams will be looking at the division, which the AFC South is certainly nothing that's been run away with or established yet. So we'll keep an eye on that moving forward. Indianapolis got off to a 21-0 lead. Tennessee got it to 21-17, but just could not come back. They kicked a field goal. It was about midway through the fourth quarter when they had a drive going. When they were down 7 points at the time, it was 21-14. So instead of trying to extend it and go for a touchdown, extend the drive, they went for the field goal. And they lost the game by 7 anyway. So big win for the Indianapolis Colts. Tough one for the Jacksonville Jaguars. For the Tennessee Titans. The next game, the Jaguars were defeated by the Detroit Lions, 26-19. Detroit is now 6-4, 4-1 at home. Jaguars continue to disappoint. They are 2-8. Blake Bortles, 22 of 35, 202 yards, 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. Chris Ivory, the top running back, 17 carries, 39 yards, 2.3 yards per rush. Denard Robinson getting back in action, 3 carries, 21 yards, 7 yards per rush. TJ Yeldon, 4 for 16. The team altogether 27 of 83, 3.1 yards per rush. So better than usual, but still not very good. Chris Ivory, the top receiver, 6 receptions, 75 yards. Marquise Lee, 4 for 52, a touchdown. Allen Robinson, 3 for 18, and a touchdown. Telvin Smith recovered a fumble. Chris Ivory lost a fumble. Rashad Green fumbled. It was not lost. Ben Koyak recovered a fumble. 3 sacks. Dante Fowler Jr. did not have one. Marquise Lee had a 42-yard kick return. Jason Myers 2 for 2 in his field goals for the Detroit Lions. Matt Stafford, 24 of 33, 278 yards, no touchdowns, but most importantly, no interceptions. Theo Riddick, 4 receptions, 13 yards. 4 carries, 13 yards. That's 3.3 yards per rush. Dwayne Washington, 13 carries for 6 yards. That's a half yard a rush. The team altogether 21 carries, 14 yards. That's only 7/10 of a yard per rush. Golden Tate had a negative 6-yard run, and Matt Stafford did have 2 carries for 0 yards. They did have a rushing touchdown. Eric Ebram, a tight end, rushed for a 1-yard touchdown. So that's a very interesting stat line when it comes to running the ball for the Detroit Lions. Eric Ebram, the top receiver, 3 receptions, 70 yards. Theo Riddick, 8 receptions, 70 yards. Andre Roberts, 1 for 44. Tavon Wilson recovered a fumble. Golden Tate and Andre Roberts both lost a fumble. Antoine Williams fumbled and recovered it. No sacks. Raphael Bush had an interception return, 39 yards for a touchdown. Tavon Wilson also had an interception. Andre Roberts, 2 punt returns, that is, for 55 yards. He fumbled one that led to a Jacksonville score, but he did return one for a touchdown. Matt Prater, 2 for 2 in his field goals. So pretty simply put, the game was won on touchdowns, non-offensive touchdowns by Detroit. The 55-yard punt return for a touchdown, and of course the interception return for a touchdown. That's 14 points right there for the Jacksonville Jaguars. Same old song and dance. They simply cannot run the ball this season, and it's really become a bugaboo for them. The Baltimore Ravens losing to the Dallas Cowboys 27-17. Cowboys are now 9-1. They've won 9 straight. Baltimore drops to 5-5. Joe Flacco, 23 for 35, 269 yards, 1 touchdown, no interceptions. Terrence West, 8 carries, 42 yards, 5.3 yards per rush, a touchdown. Kenneth Dixon, 6 for 46.7 yards per rush. Mike Wallace also had a 13-yard rush. If you look at the running numbers, 16 of 101, 6.3 yards per rush. I don't know why they abandoned it, because they were certainly not ever out of this game. I don't think it ever got to more than one score until late in the game. The Cowboys went up 24-10, and then obviously kicking the field goal late to go up 27-17. So I'm surprised that they abandoned the run the way they did. Steve Smith, 8 receptions, 99 yards, a touchdown. He got his 1,000th career reception in this game. Mike Wallace, 5 for 62. Kamir Aiken, 3 for 35. Mike Wallace fumbled. It was not lost. Kamir Aiken recovered a fumble. 1 sack Albert McClellan had for the Baltimore Ravens. Nothing of note in the return games. Justin Tucker made his only field goal. For the Dallas Cowboys, Dak Prescott, I'll tell you what, anyone who's saying this guy is not a pocket passer or can't do things, I mean, folks, Dak Prescott is being borderline all-pro thus far this season. 27 of 36, 301 yards, 3 touchdowns, no interception. Ezekiel Elliott, relatively pedestrian, 25 carries, 97 yards. That's under 4 yards per carry at 3.9. Dak Prescott, 2 carries for 16 yards. The team altogether 30 carries, 118 yards, 3.9 yards per rush. So not the best of running games for the Cowboys, but they kept it competitive enough, and they were certainly balanced on offense, and they were able to, well, we'll get into that at the end. Dez Bryant, 6 receptions, 80 yards, 2 touchdowns. Cole Beasley, 5 for 59, a touchdown. Bryce Butler, 2 for 49. He had a 41-yard catch that set up the Cowboys' first touchdown. Travis Frederick fumbled. Dak Prescott recovered a fumble, so obviously a bad snap. Jack Crawford had the only sack, no interceptions. Dan Bailey, 2 for 2 in his field goal. So Baltimore, their running game, which has been inconsistent and has not been good, basically, finally got going, but they didn't stick with it. Joe Flacco, a lot placed on him. The Cowboys controlled the clock, basically. We're going to check time of possession right now. But at the end of the game, they got the ball with about 8 minutes left after Baltimore just cut it to 7 points. Basically went down the field, kicked the field goal with under 2 minutes left. That sealed the game. The time of possession, 35-39 for the Cowboys, 24-21 for the Baltimore Ravens. So certainly that is the story in this one. The Giants keeping pace in the NFC East, winning over the Chicago Bears 22-16. Chicago got off to a 16-6 lead, but were outscored 16-0 to close. Jay Cutler for the Bears, 17 of 30, 252 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. Jordan Howard, 17 carries, 77 yards, 4.5 yards per rush. Jeremy Langford, 6 for 8, 1.3 yards per rush, but he had the touchdown. Zach Miller, the top receiver, 3 catches for 61 yards, a touchdown. He went out of this game with an injury. Cameron Meredith, 4 for 49. Marquise Wilson, 1 for 35. Mike Adams recovered a fumble. Jay Cutler and Eddie Royal both fumbled. Eddie Royal recovered his fumble. No sacks for the Chicago Bears. Give the Giants' offensive line credit. Deontay Thompson, 4 kick returns, 116 yards. That's a 29-yard per return average, a longest of 40, so good there. Connor Barth, 1 for 2 in his field goals. That missed field goal turned out to be big. There were a couple missed extra points as well. The Giants missed 2, and Chicago missed 1. So some points were left on, but that missed field goal would have meant Chicago, as they were going down the field late, were not forced into getting a touchdown and not having to force the ball down the field, which led to an interception. We'll get into that in just a moment. Eli Manning, 21 of 36, 227 yards, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. The running game starting to come along for the Giants. Rashad Jennings, 21 of 85, 4 yards per rush. He had a touchdown. Paul Perkins, 4 for 16, 4 yards per rush. Altogether, 29 of 102, 3.5 yards per rush. But the yards came off that 4 yard per carry rush because Eli Manning took the knees at the end of the game. Sterling Shepard, 5 receptions, 50 yards, 1 touchdown. Victor Cruz, 1 for 48. Odell Beckham Jr. held in check, 5 for 46. Eli Apple recovered a fumble. Dwayne Harris and Odell Beckham Jr. both had fumbles that were not lost. Altogether, 4 sacks for the Giants, 2.5 of them belonged to Jason Pierre-Paul. Landon Collins had that interception at the end of the game where Cutler was forcing the ball downfield. That sealed it for the Giants. Dwayne Harris, 3 kick returns, 85 yards. He had a longest of 46. The average is 28.3. Robbie Gould, 1 for 1 in his field goals for the Giants. So, Chicago, not a very good team. They came out, got the lead. This one probably tastes pretty bitter, even though they got smashed last week. You have a team down 16-6, and you don't score any points from that point forward. Very disappointing in that regard. As for the Giants, their defense continues to come along nicely. They're closing games out. Their running game is starting to come along as well. But I am worrying about Eli Manning with a few too many incompletions. It's not that the incompletions necessarily. He was missing a couple passes high in this game, but he's a veteran quarterback. I'm sure he will make those adjustments. That's just something I made a note of in this game. All right, so we'll come back in a little bit and give you part 2 of the recap of Week 11 of the NFL season. Please stay tuned for that. And remember, we appreciate all subscriptions. Thank you all so much, and we'll see you soon. Bye.